Welcome back to another video, guys. Here today we're going to talk about something a little bit different. We're going to talk about a tool that we can use to really help us understand and answer questions in programming as we're doing our homework and reading out of a book, or even just from other various places on the internet. This is a really good free tool that we can, at least right now it's free, tool that we can use to help us definitely understand our code a lot better. So for example, here we have just one small coding exercise that we did in class. And I'm going to use something called ChatGPT, which is it's an online chat-based AI. So if I copy all of this code here, and then I go to ChatGPT and I say, hey, here, let's just do that. So I'm going to open up ChatGPT, which the link for this, I'll put it in the description, but it's this right here, https://chat.openai.com/auth/login. And you can log in either, you can create an account, or you can just log in with your Gmail account or your Google account. So let's pull up ChatGPT. And if I just paste my programming exercise in there, and just note that above that I have a Kotlin programming assignment in Android Studio. Can you do this for me and explain how it works for an absolute beginner? And then I just gave it word for word that exercise that we did in class. So if I run that, you can see it's going to go ahead and print out a description for me here. And it's going to go step by step through what I gave it. So number one, create a new Kotlin class or file called rectangle. We come down here and we have, okay, here's step one, create a new Kotlin class or file called rectangle. To do this in Android Studio, go to File, New Kotlin Class. In the Create New Kotlin Class File window, choose Class, and then give it the name rectangle. So that is right, that's exactly what we need to do. Down here, step two, inside the rectangle class's primary constructor, meaning the parentheses after the class name, give it an int for side one and an int for side two. So in the rectangle class, add the following code inside the class declaration to create the primary constructor that takes two arguments, side one and side two. So again, right there, that code is exactly what we need. And then it even tells us, by the way, the rest of the code for the class is going to go here in between these two brackets. Then step three, create a function for calculating the area of the rectangle and write it to the log using log.i. So inside those curly brackets, which again, it told us beforehand that the rest of the code is going to go there. So it does val area equals, function calculate area, val area equals side one times side two, and then log.i rectangle, the area of the rectangle is $area. And what's really cool about this, you can actually click copy the code and it will copy it to your clipboard and you can go paste it back into Android Studio. Then going down here, this function first calculates the area of the rectangle by multiplying the values of side one and side two, and then logs them using log.i. So not only is it going to write the function for you, but it explains what it's doing. And then step four, create a function to write the two side variables to the log using log.i. So add the following function to the rectangle class. Here we go, fun log sides, and then our brackets, log I rectangle, side one, $side one, side two, $side two. It says this function logs the values of side one and side two using log.i. Then step five, back in main activity, create two rectangle objects with the side lengths of 2 and 3, and then 4 and 5. So it tells you, go back to your main activity class, create two rectangle objects. Here we go, the two rectangle objects. And then step six, run both functions on each rectangle. So this is finally, call both functions on each rectangle object created in the previous step using the following code. And it tells you exactly how to do all of that. So this is a really powerful tool, right? Like this isn't an assignment that I pulled from this tool. I wrote this during, right before we had class actually. And then I copied that and pasted that into ChatGPT and it just solves all of it for me. And let's say I don't quite understand part of it. Well, I can copy this code here and then come down here and I can say, I don't quite understand this part. Can you please explain in more detail? And if I send that, it's going to give me now more details about those few steps there. So it's going to tell me in step 5 of the assignment, we created rectangle objects in our main activity. And essentially, this is just going to go on and give me even more in-depth detail about any code that I ask it about. So this is a really powerful tool. And as you saw, I can take that entire exercise that we had in class and I can paste it into ChatGPT and it solved the whole thing. So now if I go through and I follow the steps in here, I'm going to have the entire thing, or I can come down here to the bottom and I can say, thanks, can you give me the code for the full rectangle class? So now it's going to give me the code for that full file, gives me the import, gives me class rectangle val1 or val side 1 int, val side 2 int with both functions up there. So now if I just copy that code and I come back here, I can do new Kotlin class or file rectangle. And if I just paste that code into here, well, look at that. I have my entire rectangle class generated by this online ChatGPT AI. So this is really cool, and this makes programming super easy. And it's also really helpful for stuff that you don't understand and you need just more explanation and you need more details about how the code is working and what it's doing. This is a really good tool to do that. Another thing I can do is this. I can say, I still don't quite understand. Can you please repeat that in Hindi? Or whatever language you want. But here it's going to give us that same thing in Hindi. So it tells us the rectangle class. Rectangle class, ka pura code, and then it gives us the whole code. And then after it's going to give us the rest of it, is code may humne rectangle class ka. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but essentially it does it in Hindi as well. So if there's something that you don't quite understand, either in the class or in the book or in the homework, you can just take all of this and you can paste it into ChatGPT and get questions answered and get help with the code. And even if, let's say, I have this code and I'm missing a few things, I have some errors here. And yeah, let's say I have some errors here and we don't know what to do. We can't compile our code. We're getting all these errors up here and and our code just isn't working. And let's say I don't know, obviously I just made all those mistakes on purpose, so I know exactly what the problems are. But if I didn't know, if I were just to copy this and then go back to ChatGPT and said, hey, I have some errors that are showing up in this code. Can you please fix it for me? And then if I do this, here we go. I see a few errors in the code that you provided. Here's the corrected code. So it's going to go through, it's going to correct it. And if I copy that code now, actually, it'll give me the code and then it's going to come down here and tell me everything that I did wrong. So for example, here in your calculate area function, you are multiplying side 1 with a variable named side, which doesn't exist. This should be side 2. And since that is the name of the second side of the rectangle, additionally, you are missing a closing quotation mark in the log.i statement. In your log sides function, you are missing the closing parentheses log I. And then if we come in here and we just replace that now and paste it, you can see it actually fixed all of the errors that I had in my code. So this is another huge benefit of ChatGPT. This is definitely something that you can use in this class, and then as you go beyond this class to kind of help you understand how it is to debug code and how to write code, and even it can give you explanations of everything. Let's say um, I have my calculator app here, which is something we're going to work on later in this course. But let's say I want to just copy some code out of here. Like, I don't know, let's take this function down here, and I can tell ChatGPT, hey, I don't really know what this function does. Can you explain it to me? And paste in that function. So here's the question. I don't really understand what this function does. Can you explain it to me? I give it all the code. And then down here, it's going to tell you exactly. It says this function is a composable function in Jetpack Compose, which is something we'll get to later in the course. And it's going to go through, tell you what everything in here is, tell you what the modifier is, the button data, pretty much everything. And it's going to tell you all the details. And then finally, overall, this function creates a customizable button component for use in a calculator app, which is absolutely true. And this ChatGPT has never seen this code before. So what I've just done is I've generated an explanation for some code that I wrote several months ago, and this AI has never seen it, and it was able to tell me what that calculator button does or what that function does and explain every single part of it piece by piece. So this is definitely something, if you're watching a video from this course, or if you're going through code in the textbook, or you're having issues with your homework, like, you can go to ChatGPT and ask it all these kind of questions, and it'll definitely help you. The one caveat I will give is don't just copy your assignments and paste it into ChatGPT, just like you saw I did that for the exercising class. I did all of that and copied and pasted it, and it gave me all of that code. That's cool, but really we want you to be learning something. So use ChatGPT, but use it when you have questions, when you're running into problems, when you're stuck. Don't start there, because I want you to try to at least try the assignments and wrestle with it and struggle with it a little more and identify what are the key questions that you need to know, and then plug those into ChatGPT and get the answers to them, so that next time when you run into that same issue, you know how to write the code and how to accomplish these tasks in Kotlin, so that you're not just copying and pasting from ChatGPT all the time. Because that's good and helpful, but you can only go so far with that. So I just wanted to show you guys this tool. Definitely a good tool that you can use to understand stuff, to even understand stuff in Hindi if you need that. And it's definitely going to be helpful in this class. So if, if you have any questions, go ask ChatGPT.